Welcome to Khanversations. I'm Muqtedar, your host, and today I'm going to talk about the overall impact of the indictment of Gautam Adani and his family members and his business partners in a case about corruption and by the U.S. courts. And the charges are that, as you are aware, and I've already done a conversation in detail about it, that Adani and his American partner tried to bribe with about $250 to $260 million worth of bribes to Indian government officials so that they can buy essentially green energy generated by the Adani group. And then they lied about it. They actually lied about it to the U.S. investors. They broke the U.S. law by not sharing this information. And as a result of that, they have broken many laws. And so there are two cases pending against them, one for raising money from American investors by lying to them, more or less, and also for committing acts of bribery in foreign countries. So those are the charges. I'm not really interested in the nitty-gritty of the legal side of it. There are lots of debates going on in the Indian media about what the legal implications are. I am sure that Gautam Adani will hire the best legal defense that he can possibly find in the United States and will definitely fight these cases here, and quite possible that he could be exonerated and he could win the cases, and then most of the issues will become moot. But until then, there are some serious consequences, and I want to talk about those. What are the geopolitical as well as economic consequences to India as a result of the indictment of Adani? And that's the focus of Khanversations today. But before I go into details, please subscribe to Khanversations, like this video, press the bell icon. Don't forget to share this video with your social political network after you watch this video. And if you like to support Khanversations, you can join and become a member of Khanversations. So the first thing that I find very troubling, and this is something that clearly the Indian opposition is trying to do, and not only that, but even the government and its spokespersons in the public sphere are behaving in a manner which is confirming this, which is they are conflating Modi and BJP with Gautam Adani. Yes, everybody knows that Gautam Adani is very close to Narendra Modi, but we also know that he has given money to lots of people and many different political parties in India. All rich people probably do that. But it is well known that he's a very special friend of Prime Minister Modi, and on many occasions, even on foreign trips, Prime Minister Modi has, in some way or the other, tried to advance the interest of Adani Enterprises and some of the international contracts, etc., that Mr. Adani has won, both in Asia and even in the Middle East, have come in partly because of advocacy by the Prime Minister himself. So that is going to begin to hurt, because in order to protect the image of the BJP as well as Prime Minister Modi, the Indian government and spokespersons are essentially out there defending Gautam Adani and his actions, when in fact what the government needs to do is to take these allegations seriously and investigate. And this is the Panno case all over. The Canadians accused India and Indian government officials of being involved in assassinations in Canada, and the Indian government simply denied it, continues to deny it today. But in the case of the US made the same allegations, but the US actually arrested a person and filed cases. There are now criminal cases filed by the government as well as civil cases against various Indian government officials or former Indian officials. And the Indian government at first denied those and then had to say, okay, we take this seriously, and instituted an inquiry, which then went and in October explained to the US what really happened. So I hope the Indian government does not repeat the same thing, denies it until it becomes inevitable in the courts, and then say, oh, we didn't know this was happening, so we are going to go and investigate. I think what the Indian government should do now is right away start a very serious, this over to the CBI and conduct an inquiry and see if there was indeed bribery taking place and arrest the people who were involved, those who gave bribes and those who took bribes. Because in the end, both of them are undermining the Indian people. It is against India's national interest. And it doesn't matter if the perpetrators or people who took the bribes are leaders of the opposition party. Whoever it is has hurt the Indian national interest and the interests of the people of their state, and they should be held accountable. The second thing is that many people, people who are on the social media and on television and even in commentators, are behaving as if India and Adani are one and the same. It is quite obvious that Mr. Adani is not exactly an honest businessman. And why would India attach its own image to that of one individual? I think that is a big mistake that is being made by people in India. They should treat Adani as just another businessman who did something that he should not have done and has been charged. And if he's innocent, he will prove himself innocent in the courts. And if he's not, then he will be held accountable. He might either go to jail or he might just have to pay a huge fine, and that would be the end of the story. Why bring India into it? Why attach the image and the status, the international stature of India to that of Adani? And if Adani is then proven to be corrupt, it will undermine India's international image and have an impact on the business environment in India. No, other than this, there are other serious implications that are happening because people are not separating Adani from India and saying he's one and the same, and there are all these conspiracy theories going on that this is the Biden administration striking back at Modi. Why would they target Adani if they want to go after Modi? Is it because Adani and Modi are one and the same? Are they very close? Or some people are saying this is an attempt to undermine India, so they're going after Adani. Why? Adani is not India. And there are those who also are saying this is George Soros conspiracy. I want you to look at this chart that I'm showing. For those of you who are listening and not watching, please watch at least for this 1 minute. Let me show you the list of the 500 richest billionaires that Forbes put out on the 19th of November, as recently as this week. And according to that, Gautam Adani is the second richest Indian. The richest man is Ambani with $95 billion. And Gautam Adani is the second richest man. He's at number 18, and he is worth $85 billion. And George Soros is less than $7 billion and is at 480 in this list. The point that I'm trying to make is Gautam Adani is nearly 14 times richer than George Soros. So how can George Soros change the whole world, have huge geopolitical impact on the world, and Adani not have the same impact in India or in the rest of the world? How can George Soros have more influence on what's happening to India than billionaires like Ambani and Adani, who are many, many times richer than he is? So please use some common sense before you resort to these kind of silly conspiratorial theories to explain everything away. There are some realities which are harsh and cannot be ignored. One of the consequences of this is especially if the government of India does not independently investigate Adani and finds him guilty or innocent, that's moot. But they need to have a serious investigation and convince the international business community that there is rule of law in India. And not everything is just politics. And if you're aligned with the right politician, then you can break whatever rules you like. Foreign investors will run away from such an environment. India needs investments more than anything else. If India wants to become an alternative to China in manufacturing, it wants foreign companies to come and do business in India. It wants foreign companies to come and invest in India. You want foreign investors to put their money right here. And if they feel that India's business environment is corrupt, that politicians take millions and millions of dollars in bribes, then they will be reluctant to come here. Those from certain countries where bribery is allowed will come, but certainly not from the US, where it's taken very seriously. And if you think that India can do without investments from the US, without technology from the US, without individual and, shall we say, institutional investors, then you have something really wrong. India is dying to get foreign investment, especially from the West. Everything about India is about, yes, we want to grow, we want to become a $10 trillion economy, we want to become a $5 trillion economy, we want to compete with China. Well, you need to get investments from abroad. And you cannot get those kind of investments if people begin to have doubts about, one, India's business culture and business environment, and number two, about the legal environment. If it is not independent, if it's not capable of fighting corruption, then people are going to be very hesitant, especially from developed countries. I think if this issue is not handled well, it could impact US investments. Besides that, it could also undermine the growing stature of India as the leader of the global South. India wants to be a leader of the global South, but not become like any underdeveloped third world country where the politicians and businessmen are all corrupt. You don't want to look like a kleptocracy, or there was a Japanese article in the main Japanese newspaper where they talked about gangster autocracy or something. I will find that article and insert it here. It was in Nikkei, the Japanese newspaper, where they talked about the connection between corrupt businessmen and the government of India. And this is Japan, which is such a close ally of India and a friend of India and a member of the Quad. You can already see some of the impact of this. Kenya, where Gautam Adani has a $2.5 billion investment and two deals essentially of two. One about basically developing, expanding their international airport, which then the Adanis would manage for the next 30 years. And then also that's about $1.7 billion. And there is another $750 million contract to build the power lines in Kenya. And all of them or both of them have been canceled today. And primarily because of this particular indictment. And Kenya says that this all looks very shady. We do not want to do any business with that. So I have a feeling that one of the consequences of this is going to be that Adani is going to have lots of trouble raising money on the New York stock market and in the US markets, talking to venture capitalists in the United States, institutional investors in the United States. So Adani and his group are going to have serious problems, even if he is exonerated, because now companies are going to look very closely at him and his businesses. But like I said, if India pretends as if Adani is India and Adani is Modi and Adani is BJP and therefore needs to be defended, then every business, regardless of where it's coming from, whether it's coming from Bengal or Kerala or Kashmir or Maharashtra, has nothing to do with Adani, will also have to go through a much more stringent scrutiny by international investors, international banks. And one thing that is most definitely going to happen is the cost of borrowing for Indian companies will go up, and also maybe for India. So this is a serious development. And so I think both the Indian government should take it seriously. I'm sure Mr. Adani understands this. He's already probably hired, like I said, some of the best lawyers in the world who would have explained to him in greater detail what his legal and financial predicament is really. This is not a joke, let me tell you that. This assumption that, oh, this is George Soros doing, no, things like that don't happen. These are very serious cases, and especially if you're a foreigner, you don't have any political clout here, and this thing could go on. There are some people who assume that because Donald Trump is going to become president, these cases will go away. I'm not very sure of that either. He's not going to constantly interfere. He has his own agenda, which he will be pursuing, and as you can see, his own party is not going to let him misbehave in great extent. So Donald Trump just had his first defeat. The person that he nominated to lead the Department of Justice, Matt Gaetz, was rejected, and he had to withdraw him, and he's nominated another person. He didn't even go through a formal hearing. There was such an outcry from Republicans. He was very clearly told that we do not accept this character. And so don't assume that Donald Trump, like I said, people in India seem to think that Donald Trump election slogan was Modi first or India first. No, it was America first. And if he thinks that some foreign dude was lying to Americans and taking away American investments to their country, his America first instincts could kicking, and he probably is not going to be happy about that. So this is a serious matter, and I hope the Indian government will act accordingly, not let this become a disaster and fiasco like the Pannogate. But like I said in my Hindi commentary, another serious question that everybody needs to wonder about is why are Western countries taking all these, are paying special attention to people around Prime Minister Modi. So, for example, Canada has made accusations about Amit Shah being involved in the killing of Niger. There are US courts which have filed charges against India's National Security Advisor, Ajit Doval. That case was filed by Gurpat Wan Singh Panno, and so that case is proceeding. And now this one, the charges that are being filed against Gautam Adani, who's also seen as being very close to Prime Minister Modi. So this is another serious question as to why Western countries are paying such close attention to people who are around Prime Minister Modi. Anyway, I hope you found this conversation interesting, thoughtful, thought-provoking. So please subscribe to Khanversation, like this video, press the bell icon, and don't forget to share this video with your socio-political network. Until next time, I'm your host, Muqtedar Khan. Take care.